Okay, let's talk about one of the most maddening things in any DIY solar setup. You've got full batteries. The sun is shining. You go to turn on your coffee maker, and poof, everything just dies. Your inverter shuts off. So we're going to get to the bottom of this because I promise you, the answer is almost never what you think it is. So what's actually going on here? I mean, your battery monitor is screaming at you that you've got plenty of juice in the tank, right? But for some reason, the inverter just completely disagrees and shuts the whole party down. This is such a classic mystery for anyone building their own system, but today, we are going to solve it. It's all about an invisible journey that the power takes to get from your battery to your inverter. Now, the first thing everybody does is point the finger right at the battery. I mean, it's the usual suspect, right? It's the most obvious thing to blame. But here's the secret. More often than not, your battery is totally fine. The real culprit, the thing that's quietly sabotaging your system, is your wiring and all those little connections along the way. To crack this case, we have to stop thinking like us and start thinking like the inverter. See, it doesn't care one bit about that nice, stable voltage sitting in your battery. Nope. It only cares about the voltage that actually arrives at its front door, at the input terminals, the very second it's asked to do some heavy lifting. And this little diagram shows that journey perfectly. So your battery might be sitting there, happy as can be, at a healthy 12.6 volts. But the moment you flip on a big appliance, a huge amount of current starts surging through those wires. Now, every single wire has a tiny bit of built-in resistance, and as that current fights its way through, voltage literally gets lost. It gets eaten up along the way. So by the time that power finally gets to the inverter, the voltage might have plummeted all the way down to 10.5 volts. This whole phenomenon has a name, and it's called voltage drop. You've probably heard of it. It's just the loss of electrical pressure as that current moves through a wire. And the physics behind it are actually super simple. The voltage you lose is just the current you're pulling times the resistance of the wire. That's it. And that little formula is the key to everything.
So why is this such an absolute nightmare for 12-volt systems in particular? Well, it all comes down to one part of that equation we just saw: the absolutely insane amount of current these systems have to pull to get any real work done.
Think about it like this. To get just 1,000 watts of power, enough for a small microwave or a coffee pot, from a 12-volt battery, your inverter has to suck down over 80 amps of current. That is a fire hose of electricity. And as that formula just showed us, when the current, the I, is that high, the voltage drop doesn't just go up a little. It gets magnified like crazy. So here's the kicker. Your inverter has a built-in safety feature called a low voltage cutoff. It's usually set around 10.5 volts, and its job is to protect your expensive batteries from getting drained too low, which would kill them. So when the inverter sees that measly 10.5 volts arrive at its terminals, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It shuts down to save the battery. From its point of view, your battery looks dead, even when it's totally fine. The inverter is being tricked by your wiring. Okay, so if the wiring is the problem, what exactly is causing it to fail so spectacularly? Well, it really just boils down to four main things that all pile on top of each other to create that voltage-killing resistance. First up, we've got cable lengths. It's simple. The longer the wire, the more resistance. And you have to remember, the electricity has to go from the battery to the inverter and then all the way back. You have to count that full round trip. Second, cable thickness. Using wires that are too thin is like trying to force that fire hose of current through a tiny straw. The resistance is massive, you get a huge voltage drop, and it creates a ton of dangerous heat. Third, as we already saw, the bigger the load you're trying to run, the worse the problem gets. And finally, and this one is huge, poor connections. A single loose bolt, a little corrosion on a terminal, or one bad crimp can add more resistance than 10 feet of wire. So how do you know for sure if this is what's happening in your system? Well, the great news is you don't have to guess. You can become a voltage drop detective with a basic multimeter and a super simple 3-step test. Let's walk through it. Okay, first thing, with everything turned off, no loads, inverter is off, measure the voltage right on your battery terminals. That's your baseline, the true voltage of your battery. Next, turn on your inverter and fire up a heavy load, something that usually causes the shutdown. While it's running, carefully measure the voltage at the battery terminals again. And finally, while that exact same load is still running, go measure the voltage right where the cables connect to your inverter's input terminals. And this is where the magic happens. You compare the numbers. Let's say under load, your battery is still holding pretty strong at 12.4 volts. But then you measure at the inverter and it's only seeing 10.5 volts. Bam, right at that cutoff point. The difference between those two numbers, in this case, a whopping 1.9 volts, that is your voltage drop. That's the voltage being completely wasted, turned into heat in your wires. That right there is the smoking gun. So, once you've proven that voltage drop is your enemy, it's time to fix it. And you really need to, because this isn't just about being able to make coffee in the morning. This is about making your system way more efficient and, most importantly, a whole lot safer. Here's your action plan. First, shorten your cables. If you can physically move your inverter closer to your batteries, just do it. Less distance equals less resistance. Second, and this is totally non-negotiable, upgrade to thicker cables that are properly sized for the amount of current you're pulling. Third, go through and inspect, clean, and tighten every single connection point from the battery all the way to the inverter. And finally, if you're planning a new system, you should seriously consider going to a higher voltage, like 24 or 48 volts. It dramatically cuts the current and makes voltage drop way less of an issue. And I really want to leave you with this one critical thought on safety. That voltage that gets lost in the wires, it doesn't just disappear. It gets converted directly into heat. A warm cable is not normal. It is a massive red flag that you are wasting precious power and, more importantly, you're creating a dangerous fire hazard. A hot wire isn't just a sign of an inefficient system. It's the first sign of a fire. So the next time your inverter tricks, please don't just automatically blame your battery. Go grab your multimeter, run this simple test, and ask yourself this one question. Because now you know. You can have the best batteries money can buy and the most powerful inverter on the market, but your system is only ever as strong as its weakest link. And more often than not, that link is the wiring.